Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com with our premiere show, Courtney on Health, with Courtney
Ooh.
Grevenese and Maxine Rubin.
Maxine Margot Rubin.
Maxine
Anyway.
Margot Rubin. I forget.
Gotta get that middle name in there. That's my.
Oh, yeah, I want
name.
you to say that. And today,
Okay.
what do we start off the show, Max?
I'm going to start off the show. So I will say,
As usual.
even though you already said hello, Malcolm. So I'll say hello back and hi to Courtney. How are you doing? And welcome to Courtney on Health, the Zoomcast podcast series about how to get through these times of still COVID and shall I say monkeypox, just to throw that in there with tips on, I don't even know what to say. You will let Courtney go with that or not. But we have tips on nutrition and exercise that Courtney Grevenese gives us. She's a registered dietitian. She's got a Master of Science degree in nutrition and applied physiology. She's got some great information. So we know she's an experienced nutritional and health consultant in New York, but it goes way beyond that since we're on the interweb here, and she'll help guide you on a path to wellness and health. So for all of Earth's creatures, nothing is so fundamental as the beginning of summer.
Yes.
Be meditative, drink coffee and tea slow, like outside, take deep breaths, and remind yourself to kind of be present in this time of year where you don't need a winter coat. Enjoy summer barbecues, but eat light, exercise slowly, try to hit the beach. I'm hoping to, and be one with nature. So today, Courtney will give us some great tips on summer living, eating, and best ways to move your body in the good old summertime. So start us off, Courtney. Where's the best way to start with like your summer wellness routine and tips, tips?
Yes. Well, thank you. Hello to both of you. Hope you had a nice weekend and happy everyone, good Father's Day.
Yep.
So it occurs to me often that we obviously do New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the new year. We've got summer solstice this week, and we often hear just the recommendation blanketed in, it says, decrease stress, exercise more, improve your diet, and that will lead to, overall wellness. So most people know that, right? I think most people know they need to eat a little bit better, exercise a little bit more, and try and decrease stress. Problem is trying to implement any of that.
I've been knowing that for 70 years.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but I absolutely get it. It's not. For a lot of people, it's not so simple. So I thought I would break this down just sort of the 7 sort of summertime tips rather than New Year's resolutions, but sort of ways to really help individuals who are really struggling with trying to make any of those healthy changes in their lifestyle, because it does sound a lot easier than what it is for many, many folks. So at the top of the list, what I'd ask you to do, and this is particularly for people who, you don't know where to start. Forget what you're reading on, social media, what your friends are doing, what you're seeing, on your favorite TV show, whatever that is. Turn a blind eye to that. And I want you to think clearly, what am I really trying to change? What would make me feel better? What are the things that I really want to do to help improve my health? And start there. And you guys know we've spoken about goal setting before. We do that a lot. It's always has to be part of any effective behavior change. Set some goals for yourself. Just 1 or 2. That's it. Remember, they have to be smart. And we've discussed that before, so we won't go into it again, but they need to be very, very specific. So for example, don't make one of those goals, I'm going to eat more, with all the incredible produce around right now this time of year, I'm going to eat more fruits and vegetables. Doesn't work. Too big. So make it very small. Really, what speaks to you? What is it that you are trying to do? And then work from there, rather than what's being spoon-fed to you or what other people are doing for themselves. That's great for them, but it may not work for you. So it's super important to start there in whatever kind of health or behavior that you're trying to do.
Mhm.
But because of all the incredible, I don't know if you guys can see some of this stuff in the shot here, but some of this is from my garden, some of it is from the CSA. Even if you do any of that stuff, look in your grocery store. Most grocery stores this time of year are going to have an incredible array of fresh fruit and vegetables, lots of different flavors and textures and colors. And we know that. So number two, in terms of a good, summer suggestion, a summer tip for you is going to be to swap out for, let's say, 3 times per week, whatever lunch you might be having, assuming you're eating a lunch, but if not, let's make it a dinner. Replace something with a really big salad-based meal. That doesn't mean only salad greens, because I can see people listening saying, that sounds super exciting. Great, thank you. But let it be either the base of it, which means you could add things like grilled shrimp, grilled chicken, grilled steak, pork, tofu, whatever your protein choice is, lots of different color, lots of different texture, maybe some great nuts in there, some cheese in there, not a ton, but make it the base of your meal, or at the very least, 3 times per week, add a side salad to your meal. What we know is that individuals who do that swap or simply add a salad to their meal, whereby adding bulk but few calories, these individuals end up pulling down fewer calories in the long run. And if one of your goals is to try and lose weight, you can meet that goal a little bit easier. Even if you're not trying to lose weight, all of the phytochemicals that we talk about all the time on this show are housed in those ingredients of those salads. So that's a small step that is a good place to start, or at least maybe you could consider that as one of your summertime tips to try and include.
Yeah, Courtney, there's one question that I have, which I always come against. Some people say a calorie is a calorie, but are there foods that you could eat that either absorb faster or that you could burn off faster than other foods? In other words, are all calories equal?
They pretty much are equal, except that, and we've spoken about this, a couple of times, because it's so important to drive home this message. Fats and proteins are going to stick with you a little bit longer. So if you have a meal that has a little bit of fat and protein in it, those calories are going to stick around with you, keep you fuller longer than, let's just say, a carbohydrate. Now, high fiber carbohydrate and carbohydrates that have a lot of fluid to them, here we are coming back to those salads again, a lot of moisture to them, also do a great job of keeping you fuller longer. Now if we're talking about somebody with diabetes, well, so obviously a calorie is not just a calorie to them, because they have to so carefully monitor how many carbohydrate calories they're having. So from a pure calorie and weight perspective, yeah, a calorie is a calorie, but we do know now that if you play the cards right, and mix in a little protein, and actually that's one of the tips, we might as well just touch on it now, make sure you're adding a good quality, healthy protein choice to each snack and meal that you're eating throughout the day. Why? We know that we need protein in small doses. Remember, don't load it all up into one meal. Your body's going to ultimately end up wasting some of that, because it can only absorb so much, or use so much, I should say, at one sitting. But we know that at fixed amounts throughout the day, your body's able to use that for, in particular, muscle synthesis. It will keep you fuller longer, that protein, because it takes a little bit longer to digest. And we know that protein is also helpful in helping maintain a nice, strong immune function. So, you can't just eat all calories from carbohydrate or any of the food groups, for example. So it's important to make sure that you're including that at each snack and each meal. I feel like for a lot of people, that's a big hill to climb. And I hate to say this, but it ends up being for a lot of my female clients who don't necessarily eat a lot at an individual meal. So if you ask them to have 20 to 40 grams of protein at a fixed meal, that might be a lot for them to try and manage. 20 grams, not so much, because, that's basically the equivalent of, not even a chicken breast. Chicken breast is about 30 grams to 35 grams of protein. But so at each meal, that might be a lot. So try as best you can. It doesn't have to come from an animal. Remember, seeds, nuts, tofu, beans, and complete protein grains like quinoa are all options, but it's super important to make sure including that healthy protein. And this time of year, and this kind of lends ourselves into our next tip, it makes for easy summertime eating and light meals. There is nothing easier than throwing something on the grill, and having vegetables, put the vegetables on the grill, even get a grill pan or put them directly on the grill and cook them up that way. They have a wonderful flavor to them. Add that salad that we spoke about. It's a great time to have the wide variety of produce that's available this time of year. Keep calories lower because it tends not whatever you're grilling tends not to have a lot of heavy sauces or gravies on it. So it lends itself to a really nice light meal. Now I get it. There are people who not everybody's got a grill. I totally understand that. Enter one of these buggers, right? Now, not a lot of money. You guys may even have them. It doesn't even have to be this big. Can you see the ridges, on there?
Yeah.
So one of these, they have ones that are meant for electric cooktops, gas cooktops. So just know what you have at home and then buy accordingly. So no grill outside. Okay, then do some, sort of faux grilling, we can call it, on the inside. Same concept. You can do your, if you're going to marinate tofu or chicken or whatever you're doing, same prep is the same, but instead of cooking it outside on a grill, you're going to use these grill pans nice and hot to get that nice sear on the meat or the tofu, whatever you're using, to get that nice flavor to it. So
Courtney, is that a cast iron one?
Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that. It's cast iron, so it's heavy.
Yeah, you could wreck somebody with that.
Yeah, you can.
You don't need an alarm. You're boom.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't have to be this big, but if you're cooking for a family of 4, like you know what I mean? Like you need something this big. But if you're
on the back, it says
you live in an apartment and you
do
don't
not
have a
abuse
grill,
children or
then-
your husband with that.
What's that?
On the back, it should say, do not abuse children or your husband.
Yeah, it's but once it's seasoned, the beauty of these, and again, I'm sort of going off topic here a little bit, is that the more you use them, the more they're seasoned and they impart incredible flavor. So don't feel like you're sacrificing everything. It's like, oh gosh, I don't have an outside grill. Over time, these well-seasoned cast iron grills have a fantastic flavor to them. So, great investment, great way to create a nice summertime healthful meal, again, without heavy sauces, gravies, and things like that. And you can do vegetables on here. Same thing you were doing outside in a grill, do on the inside as well. So great tip to include. So we mentioned all the incredible vegetables this time of year. So berries, we just, strawberry season was June. We got blueberries. We've got, peaches and plums and this incredible, the stone fruit that's coming around and watermelon. Well, replace, and it doesn't have to be every day, but replace maybe 5 times per week. If you're having a sweet treat dessert, instead of having that sweet treat dessert, have one of these incredibly sweet, delicious pieces of fruit as your end of the meal sweet. I promise you, the flavor is so wonderful. Over time, you really won't miss. What your body's looking for sometimes is really just that sweet. So you're giving it that. And it has great flavor. So over time, you really won't miss it. So you're including those incredible phytochemical rich fruits with all the colors and the fiber, which is fantastic. It's a great way to swap out something highly caloric for something that's not as caloric. And then 2 days a week, guess what? You still get to have whatever treat you want.
Oh, that's
So,
good. Ice cream in the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't mean taking everything away. It just means, like I said, we always hear eat more fruits and vegetables. Well, okay, but many people are, well, okay, sure, but I don't really know how to incorporate that into my daily life. So hopefully this is just one way to do it. And of course, people know about, making smoothies and blender drinks and making these incredible summertime refreshing drinks, like maybe a tea, blending a tea with, watermelon to get, the lycopene from the watermelon, and then, the antioxidants in the tea. There's all sorts of ways to do that, but sometimes people don't know the pathway in order to get there.
Yeah, watermelon is a favorite of mine in the summer for sure.
Yeah,
That's
so good.
it's just, yeah, one of my favorites. And water, I guess, is important as a tip, I think, too. No.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. I know
yes.
we touched on that. I mean, and I get it. Some people, this is seltzer, but water, seltzer, some of the iced herb teas, or even iced decaf teas. I honestly, quite frankly, as long as it's not affecting your sleep, iced regular tea, caffeinated tea, black tea is totally fine also, but you need to take that individually and say, okay, is it affecting my sleep by having caffeinated beverages throughout the day or not? And if the answer is no, then certainly iced regular tea is a fine option as well. Remember to include herbs and things like that, so like mint that might be around your home. Some people even include basil leaves to impart some flavor to it. So, but hydration is definitely really, really important, particularly as we talk about our next tip, which is going to be finding a way to, if you're not exercising already, to start some kind of activity. Now is the time. Weather's great. If you can get outside, exposure to the daylight, so helpful in getting that circadian rhythm where it should be. Light during the day, dark at the night, helps with our sleeping patterns. So all you really need, so if you haven't walked or you're doing no kind of exercise at this point, but you really want to try, you need a decent pair of sneakers. Doesn't have to be a $200 pair of sneakers, something supportive, particularly if you're going to walk. Now people, I'm sure people are listening, all different parts, urban, rural, city. So I'm asking you to just look in your communities and find a place that you can walk. For some of you, that might be a hike or biking trail. It could be a biking trail along city streets. Even New York City has bike trails that you can walk along there, along the highways. If you're in a more rural area, see if you can seek out a hiking path that you can walk along. Something beautiful and that has nice scenery certainly helps, but you don't have to have that. What I'm encouraging you to do is to get outside as much as possible, earlier in the day when it's hotter, or later in the day when the sun starts to set, so that you're not out in the extreme heat of the day. The buddy system is going to be so key. Now, that buddy might be a dog. Max, I know you got your buddy. You've got your seat. Yes. So
yeah, I got my buddy. My buddy's is Sparkles, and she's just hanging out on the right
absolutely.
now in here.
But you know what? The pets rely on us to get walks, right? And some people walk their cats too. So if that's your case, that's fine too.
Simba, go walk Simba. Okay.
Yeah. But they rely on you, and so does a friend or a buddy. So this has been long studied. So this is not new. We know that if you've got somebody waiting for you, or you've made a commitment to somebody to go walking with a friend, you are more likely to get yourself out the door than if you are left to your own devices. Some people are incredibly self-motivated, and that's amazing and incredible and awesome, and more power to you. But if we're really trying to reach out to those folks who are they're not there yet, they're not drinking the Kool-Aid yet, that I'm speaking to you, and I'm telling you, it makes a difference to get somebody who's committed with you, and it'll help get you out the door.
Well, talking about going with buddies, for some reason, if you're walking with someone, even talking on the phone, time goes by faster, or the miles go by faster, because I know that I go in the morning. As a matter of fact, I live in California, so I do all my New York calls, at 7 o'clock
I
in the
know.
morning. And Max is one of the recipients.
I'm one of the New York calls.
Right. But as
I know you're walking.
I'm walking and I'm talking, and all of a sudden there goes a mile.
Right.
Absolutely.
glad to get you through, Malcolm.
Yeah. You, you don't know it, Max, but you're my trainer.
I see that. See, Courtney, I've become a trainer now. Okay.
See, I love to hear that. That's great. It's almost like a walking meeting for you two,
Yeah.
a walk and
Pretty
talk.
much, but we get off on topics we won't even go into now.
Oh,
But
no, okay.
it's the
We don't wanna get
summertime,
angry.
so yeah, no. But I have a question. You were talking about drinks and making, using teas or whatever. But then there's like these summer cocktails, and
Yes.
people tend to drink them because they're delicious. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that a everything in moderation thing?
I suppose, yeah, I think everything in moderation. I think if you don't drink or enjoy them, that's one thing. But for many people, myself included, the summer margarita, there's just, there's nothing better than that. Of course, my humble opinion.
Right. That's your humble opinion. But they have all these drinks. They have all these like concoctions, and and they're probably pretty high in calorie. I would take it.
Oh, they
But
definitely are, but therein lies the moderation component
Right.
of it. And so I put these underneath I call them my summer sabotage category. And those are those things that might derail some folks if they've been really doing great throughout the year. You're outside. Listen, you want to have one or two, of your favorite, frozen or, these drinks. They are incredibly high in calories, but no, and I'm often asked, well, what do you think about the skinny margarita, the whole skinny line of them? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yep. Yeah.
If you like that, that's fine. I'm from the camp, and this shouldn't surprise you all that much. Have the real thing. In my mind, if you're having the real thing, it's like, you know what, I know that these are crazy good and they're decadent. I'm going to limit it because I know that. And I think sometimes when you have these skinny version of them, it's a license to overconsume. Sometimes, maybe not always. So those drinks can be a little bit of create a little bit of summer sabotage. So
Psychologically, I know that the word that you never use on any diet or eating regimen is never. I'll never do this or I'll never do that. I've always found out that I give myself a little leeway that maybe one day or maybe one meal, I'll have something. I'll have my little chocolate, or I'll have my ice cream. In other words, I don't have. It's not where I'm never going to do it. It sort of gives me hope.
It gives you hope in it, and it tastes good too.
Right.
So, right.
Yeah, and then it doesn't. I suppose there are some people. I have worked with individuals before where there is just an outright trigger food, for example. And then maybe in those rare instances, those individuals should probably not go down that road, and they should probably eliminate it. But you're absolutely right, Malcolm. There are very few, allergies aside, of course, things that people should say, I'm never going to have that. I'm never going to touch that, because it's the philosophy of food and love and enjoyment doesn't seem to be there. And right back to my fruit comment before, your body's looking for sweet, but not a ton of sweet. And even if you're not having fresh fruit and you are having a chocolate or a piece of cake or a brownie, sometimes all you need is a little bit. Slow it down. Maxine, you mentioned sort of like the lazy days, the summertime, slowing down a little bit. If we simply slowed down while we're eating and actually enjoyed the treat or sweet or whatever it is we're eating, we would find that we'd be fine with probably a little bit less than what we think we need. We just eat very quickly, and it becomes taking on fuel rather than sustenance to fuel our bodies and the enjoyment of the meal. So many times that small amount. So back to the alcohol, that summer sabotage thing. So lots of usually, holiday time is a big time for parties as well. But this time of year, I just came from a graduation party this weekend. There's barbecues, there's picnics, there's parties at the at the beach. So there's lots of food usually around and drink. So just mind what it is that you're consuming. So watch the dips and chips, I would say. I'm not saying don't have them, but if you, in particular, you're trying to manage your weight and lose weight, It doesn't take many chips, many tortilla chips and too much guacamole to really load up to, hundreds and hundreds of calories. So things like that, I would say, get yourself a serving size, walk back away from the table, and, to avoid the overindulgence syndrome that might occur in those types of situations.
Right. I mean, people kind of back to ice cream. I know when I was a kid, you wanted to have an ice cream sundae like every day, or we would have the good humor guy show up and the truck. I mean, there used to be a truck here that would come by sometime, but I haven't seen it in a while. But I guess when you're a kid, you're running around so much, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
my dad would like, chocolate pop sometime, get me one too. It wasn't just the kids, the parents
Oh,
wanted.
but come on, isn't that what summer, I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Summertime.
Well,
And the
not as
bells-
kids, yeah.
What's
The
that?
bell.
Not as kids. I remember, in Brooklyn, actually, we lived in Sheepshead Bay when I got older. And the men and women would sit outside in their beach chairs,
Hmm.
on summer nights, when it was like, 85 degrees in the evening. And there would be one time where everybody would go, where they would send their kids to get, there was a Carvel place to get Carvel, the whipped ice cream.
Right.
And that was sort of like heaven for everybody.
Carvel
Oh, yeah.
Carvel was a thing. My brother's favorite ice cream. The guy, my brother, they lived in California, but they knew the Carvel guy in Bedford Hills. He remembered they would come in a couple of times a year. Okay, you want the chocolate soft serve with marshmallow topping. And he to this day, when we told him what had happened, but that's how he remembered the guy, the head of the one who owns
Oh,
it.
isn't that that's a great memory. I like the Italian ices, like
Uh-huh.
the softer ones. So they're actually
Right.
scooped and it goes in those white,
Spumoni?
The white cups. No, the actual
no,
ices.
the white cups. I suppose you could have that. I like the lemon. Lemon's my favorite flavor.
Me too.
Lemon I love,
There's
yeah.
a good place not far from us. I don't know if you go to Thornwood. There's a really, I'll have to tell you if you
Oh,
don't
you
go.
will? I'm gonna have to go.
Believe me, if you like lemon, this is the spot. So I'll send you a text later. So
So hopefully this was, I mean, those, I'm gonna post them. So, everybody's got their, the way they like to eat during the summertime, but I really thought, the more every time I open up something on, a new post on social media, I see it a lot. I said, just, exercise more, reduce your stress, and eat better. And I realized for a lot of people, that's like, okay, great. No, I need to do that. But how do I get that engine running? So we'll do my hope is to do sort of like, multiple parts of this and like really to help with, next steps in goal setting to kind of help keep people motivated and moving along, because I get it can be frustrating. But the first thing I just want to just finish with this, because I know I'm going to get the hook shortly, Malcolm. I feel it coming. Is to try really, really hard. I mean, we all love watching the fun posts and the food that's being cooked and on social media and on TikTok, and we love watching people exercise. But for a lot of people, that becomes their benchmark of I should be cooking like that and I should be exercising like that. And the reality is that's a very small percentage of certainly Americans. So it's fun to look at and put that in perspective, but you keep your cool on what you can do, and you can do this. You just have to take it a step at a time.
Yeah, take another thing, you should drop the word should out of your vocabulary.
should.
Yeah, should, I should do this, I should do that. No, you shouldn't do it. If you want to, you do it, but it's not a rule. You shouldn't, you shouldn't, you should. But the thing also, just a caveat for the summertime, especially us older folk, number one, dehydration. Yeah, and it's been shown, I think people over 60, a majority are dehydrated without doing exercise because they don't drink enough water. And the trick is, do not wait till you're thirsty to drink water. You should do it on a regular basis and know how much you drink, because your body doesn't recognize that you're thirsty.
That's right.
But you're missing water. And also, when you're out in the heat and the sun, wear a hat.
Absolutely.
sounds
And
so
we-
good.
and sunscreen, yeah. And then
Sunscreen
there's-
and a
and, you know,
hat, because that sun beating on your head, it can be horrible.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then there's, for dehydration, Malcolm, there's always the tinkle test. What color is your, it always comes
Right.
back to this with me.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Right.
What color is your urine, right? So
Uh-huh.
unless you're taking a lot of vitamins or certain medications can certainly discolor your urine. It should not be the color of Gatorade, folks. It should be a little clearer than
should be
that.
yellow.
Yep. And then in the winter we'll go, don't eat yellow snow. Okay. So
Anyway, guys,
Oh.
we have to leave.
we're gonna leave and I'm gonna do the outro here for everyone. So thanks for joining us for Courtney on Health. To get more info, follow Courtney on Health on her Facebook page, on Instagram at CLG Wellness, and visit her website, CourtneyGravenese.com. For more shows, go to malcolmpresents.com and themanishadesofgreen.com. This is Courtney on Health, smart, sound nutrition, strong, safe fitness, and we'll catch you again next time.
And just to
Happy
remind,
summer
as usual,
solstice.
to go
Right.
all to the back shows.
Back shows on
Just go
malcolmpresents.com.
malcolmpresents.com, and we have the shows, and I have what the show is about, and go and enjoy and stay in good health. And thank you very much, Courtney.
You're welcome.
And Maxine.
And enjoy the longest day of the year coming up.
Yeah.
All right. The
See you next
solstice.
week, guys.
Bye.